But the real dream is to have something that you are so proud of, that you love, that other people can be a part of, and you have your own community. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. A bunch of my business partner, a bunch of my really close friends all went through pretty nasty divorces over COVID. And our community was the thing that was there for them, and so you really can have something super special that transcends a lot of just, helping people work out and dealing with the frustrations and clicks and all that stuff.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Blake and Sherman again. Today we have a good friend, co-worker, all-around good guy. My man, Jeff Binek from the good state of Ohio. We've been talking about football a lot internally, so we're definitely going to touch on that. But Jeff, thanks for taking time to hang out with us today.
Yeah, for sure, man. Looking forward to it. Always enjoy talking with you guys.
So Jeff, tell me a little bit, first tell everyone that's listening, talk about your business, because I know you probably wouldn't, but I think that people need to know how much success you have with your gyms and stuff. So just give us a little bit, buddy.
Yeah. So, I initially found CrossFit in the Army in like 2005, 2006, started training there and started training my unit. After I separated, I came back to Columbus, Ohio, went back to Ohio State. So I am an Ohio State alumni, thus the football discussions. And as I was going to school, I started training just kind of friends and family out of my garage. This is like 08, 09. And that kind of grew a little bit. We were actually in a shared condo garage, and it grew to like 10, 15, maybe even certain times like 16, 17 people. And once we kind of got to that place, we started to get a lot of complaints from the condo board, and they actually deadbolted and took away our garage privileges at the condo for 3 months. And so we were banished, and we had a couple Karens who got a little mad at us for doing box jumps one day and playing music and having fun. And so then it was kind of like a shit or get off the pot time, right? I was getting ready to graduate, go to law school, and it was like, honestly, like I like doing this a lot. So I went and we found a small location. So we went from like a 65 square foot, 80 square foot garage to a 600 square foot space. And then in like 3 months, we had like 70 clients. We filled that space up, and then we moved to a 10,000 square foot space in 2011. And we've been there ever since. We ended up purchasing the building in 2014, and we've completely outfitted it, renovated it. We used COVID to really build it up. It's probably one of the, nicest gym facilities in the country. So we're really proud of that. And then in 2018, 19, we started second location. We bought an even bigger building, did like a year build out. It was a huge purchase, a lot of work. And then we opened on January 15th, 2020. And so that one, COVID shut that one down. Yeah. So we did we did a whole, I know we're going to talk about staffing today. So I went heavy on staff. I trained staff up for over a year to prepare for that. And, we went through 2020 and we did pretty well on the real estate with that. So it ended up working out all right. And ended up being a good time to walk away at the end of 2020. So we kind of called it there, consolidated back to our original location, really built it up, did a little expansion, and brought kind of the cream of the crop staff back, and just kind of consolidated back to one powerhouse gym. And then as we've been talking about, now we're back almost to talking more about more expansion and doing it again. So we're kind of, everything comes full circle a little bit, but that's kind of where we're at. We got about 450, 500 clients, got 6 full-time staff, 5 part-time staff. And coming up on year 15 in business here.
Yep. And, for you guys listening, he has about, how many you say, 400 members?
Yeah, 450. Yeah.
Okay. So we got 450 members. And I want to assure you guys, Jeff isn't charging $98 a month, right? So you guys can do the math. But I want to jump right into it, Jeff, because I think that, gym owners, just at large, like staffing is such a big issue, right? One, I think that some of us at times try to pass off things too quickly because guru such and such said you should sit back and do nothing and have people running your business. And for me, sitting back watching you these last couple years or so, I say that couldn't be farther from the truth. You really have to be developing and involved in your business. If I'm being honest, I think that's one of the mistakes that I sort of made with my business at times, where I'm just trying to be too removed and let it sort of quote unquote run on itself, and it just it just doesn't work out long term like that. So, my first question for you is, a gym that's struggling with just staffing in general, and from the format of, okay, they have decent staff, but they don't know what to do. What would be the first thing that you would sort of tell them they need to get sort of ironed out?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is staff is only going to be as good as the kind of system you put them in or the operations that you're kind of running, right? So, I think that's always kind of the first thing is make sure that what you're doing is actually like repeatable and you can actually hand it off to somebody. So what I always kind of look at is when we put a new staff member in place and we have them shadow, I'm looking for, is it obvious, right? Is what we're doing obvious, and can you just jump in and do it right away? Because if it's not, then I've made it too complex, right? We're too, we're trying to do too much, and it's not simple. And if it's not simple, it's not repeatable. Because at first, everyone's not going to be crappy, right? And every new coach has a lot of learning curve that they have to kind of dial in. So I think that's the first thing, is just looking to try to create the simplest version and the simplest discussion of kind of what you do. So for us, that starts a lot with being able to do onboarding personal training, right? I think that's the simplest version, right? You're going to be an expert compared to anybody, even if you're a new coach, right? The person who's never done an air squat in their life, like we have, 300 clients who could teach them how to do that just because they've been doing it so long. And so, I look at that as, do you have a really simple onboarding system that you can hand off and have people start training people and getting that experience under their belts? And that should be very easy for them to understand, for them to be able to execute on and start getting repetition. And a lot of people don't even necessarily have that in place. They're still changing it, always tweaking, always changing things, with their onboarding system, or trying new stuff or doing trials or all that kind of stuff. So that's what I would encourage people, is have a really fluid system for how somebody comes in for a sales meeting, how they sign up for their onboarding packaging, and then how they execute that with their new staff members. And I would encourage new staff members to always be doing onboarding, either shadowing or actually executing those training sessions themselves, as kind of a first step, right? Because I think that's I would say that's the easiest things to accomplish and help people with.
Okay. So, and Blake, I think you're going to say something, but hold on, I want to ask Jeff this. The personal training up front, right? Like it's sort of 50-50 across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I love the personal training up front because I think, for all those reasons that you said, like it solidifies us. We're just not throwing them in. So why don't you like the free trial thing? Like, just come in and do a workout and then decide from there. Like, what don't you like about that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want people in our gym who are going to be committed to training, right? And I think that starts with taking some degree of ownership of what you're going to be doing on the client side of things, right? For us to do that, for them to take some ownership, they have to be able to put some skin in the game, right? That's the big thing for me. And if you guys have ever, never done any sort of charity or like brought a family member in, right, and just kind of let them do it for free, and then it doesn't pan out. We've seen people who come in where charities will pay for them to come in and train with us. Like, we've done it with wounded veterans. We've done it for needs kids. And when they come in and it's free, they skip sessions. It doesn't mean anything to them if they don't show up, and it's above and beyond showing up, but it's like putting in real effort, caring, taking some ownership of the fact that, like, hey, I'm in this, right? There's a drastic difference in somebody's attitude and approach to training when it's a freebie, and how they view the value of what you're going to be giving them, versus if they're coming in and they're laying down $100 to train with you for an hour, right? people, I think, generally are always going to have that mentality. Like, I got to get my money's worth a little bit if I'm going to be laying this out or shelling this out. And then obviously you need to come in and meet expectations or exceed expectations with the value that you're charging for that. So that, I think, is the biggest thing. I think it attracts a different client. It attracts a client who is looking for somebody to help them achieve things. They're looking for information faster. They're looking for better. And that's the kind of people I want to work with, right? Freebie people it's a different clientele, and they're looking for something different. They're looking for it to be easy. They're looking for the pill. They're looking for the hack. They're not in it for the long run, and they don't understand how things work just in the world, right? They don't understand that it takes commitment. It takes effort. It takes money. It takes, long-term focus, and it's not just a freebie, hit it and quit it. Hey, I'll come one time for this. So that's, I think, the biggest thing, honestly. And then the other thing is, I want to be able to train my staff. I want to be able to pay my staff. If they're going to be laying out hours to help somebody, I want to be able to pay them for that, right? And I want to be able to pay them well, because we all know that sometimes new clients can be a pain in the butt. And if they are, and you're doing it for free, you're going to burn your coaches out real quick, and they're going to quit on you. They're not going to be excited about being a part of what your mission and what you're doing. And then vice versa. If you're getting people who are dialed in and they're coming in, they're super focused, and they're getting paid $50 or $100 an hour for it, like, your staff's going to be like, dude, that was awesome. I loved working with that. And they're going to be fired up for it.
Okay, good. No.
Yeah, and kind of switch gears, because I know this is something that you've really worked with our clients with at Lasso, is really hiring staff that is aligned with your culture, like your community, your values, and what you're trying to do. So I think the biggest thing, and I've made mistakes, probably everybody's made mistakes listening to this. What do you it could be in the interview process, could be even before the interview, right? When you sit down with them, how do you make sure, because everybody puts on their best show when they meet with you for the first time. So how do you kind of see through that? And then is there any pointed questions that you ask? Do you only hire from within so you know their character? What do you do that you've seen that hey, these are some of the things that I've done has led, and obviously it probably made some mistakes too, but what have you seen that's tried, true, and tested?
Yeah, a couple big things that I really pay attention to now. They're seemingly throwaway questions, and the way I ask them are kind of throwaway. I kind of ask it like I'm asking about a background, right? A couple of the biggest things is, I want to know when you started working in your life, right? What I find is people who started working in high school or in college, or they've kind of always been doing something their whole life, they are workers, right? They understand that kind of, I want people who have been in the service industry, who have worked retail during the holidays. I want people who have, got some of that experience and have worked maybe a variety of jobs. I find that those people generally are a lot more willing to put in, both the hours. They understand that hey, this is actually a great job. It's something I look forward to. We've hired people in the past who haven't done that. They went to high school, they never worked. They went to college, they never worked. And, thinking about somebody specifically, their parents paid for college, and then they got out and they started to look at going into the workforce. And this is one of their first few jobs. And they just don't have that mentality of, what it looks like. So when we had people who have worked, holiday retail, like my wife, she worked at Lululemon, it's 4 p.m. to midnight, right? Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And you have no weekends, and you're working shitty hours, and you're just stocking. What we do by comparison, if I tell you, hey, you got to work the PM shift, you got to coach 3 classes, 4 to 8, and you're just talking with people, you're coaching, you're having a good time. In comparison, it seems fun, right? And it is fun. And so there's little pointed questions. I want to kind of know your work history going back as far as we can. And I just want to hear what you say. The most recent guy we had was a college athlete, a high school athlete, all-state high school athlete, and was working in high school and in college while being a full-time athlete and finishing his degree. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, he's also, phenomenal in the gym as well. You start to look at those, to be able to accomplish all of those things, to be a college athlete and work and train in the gym and finish your degree, like, I know you can grind if you have to. Like, work is not work for him. And so, those are some things that I really look for, is some more of like deeper dives into kind of their work experience and seeing what things they enjoyed. And then also seeing how they talk about it. Right. And why, if they're talking bad about it, why are they talking bad about it? So those are kind of like some random ones. And then when you talk about finding good fits right away in the interview, I want people to understand that, like, we are mission and values driven to the core. And even when they're using certain language in the interview process, I'm going to catch them on things. I'm going to call them out on it and let them, and just kind of see how they respond. Right. I want to see if they can be criticized, or if I can have something, hey, we don't tolerate that. We don't tolerate people talking negatively about themselves on our team. If that's something that you do, we can probably just end the interview right here. Right. Something like that. Like if they say something that's kind of self-deprecating or they talk down on themselves, it's like, you can't do that as a coach. Right. We're always working on people with making sure that they're, positive and engaging, those kinds of things. Are you on board with that? And just kind of see how they respond a little bit. So test them a little bit, because that's the biggest thing. When you start hiring staff, your role shifts from being the coach to now you are the leader. You are the emotional leader, the values leader, and you have to be at a place where, this is like I think it's a Tim Kite thing, but if you don't condemn it, you condone it, right? And you have to be quick on that. And so making sure that people understand, because they're going to push your buttons just like kids do. They're going to start to see where their limitations lie, what they can get away with. And if you're quick on that stuff right out of the gate, then they'll understand a lot more of kind of why your facility is excellent or why things have gotten loose, right? Why you're allowing it, because you aren't quick to condone it. So those are kind of like just some things that I do throughout the interview process that I've found give me better people and better results when they come in the door.
Because I think one thing, we hear it all the time, like nobody's ever going to care about your business as much as you, right? As like business owners, which is true. But I think it's almost like you're almost like limiting that down a little bit by, some people, no fault of their own, that aren't getting that entitlement throughout like their high school and college, and like just kind of everything's given to them. And some people, I'm sure, end up, being great employees and work. But like those people that understand that, like, hey, I got to grind and I got to work hard, and also I take really good pride in it. It kind of bridges that gap of like they actually give a crap about like your gym and like their production, and rather it's not just like, oh, I just coached my class and now I'm gone, right? And so it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that like, hey, asking those pointed questions, getting down to like what's their past history of like working. Are they not ego, but like, are they prideful in their work? Did they take ownership in it, that they're going to be better employees where you don't have to handhold them all the time? Yeah,
right. And if it just take retail as an example, or take being a waiter or bartender, both excellent examples that I think are people that can and do really well inside of the gym industry. If I go in, so like, let's take my wife, how I met my wife, right? I go into Lululemon and she's helping me try on a pair of pants. I mean, you want to talk about something that you can just not give two shits about? Like, I mean, that is it to a T. But she was giving people memorable experiences where they were, I mean, like, truly remember her name as the person who gave me my waiting room at Lululemon. That's the type of impact she had, right? And
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, Jeff.
So you guys met at Lululemon.
So I was an ambassador. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now everybody's going to become an ambassador and then try to go.
So now I got to figure this out. So you met your wife when you were trying on pants, and when she saw you trying on those pants, that was it. You just had her sprung.
Hey, that's why we squat, man. No, so that's
I don't know if Sherman, that's where he was going with it, but all right.
No, yeah. So they, I was an ambassador for them, and then obviously you do a lot of stuff. They give you a $2,000 gift card when you become an ambassador. At least they used to back then. And so I had to go, and I didn't have any Lululemon, so I had to go and buy a bunch of stuff. So I spent a bunch of time there, and then we just kind of started to meet there, and she made a huge impression. She started coming and working out and training at the gym, and so rest is history from there.
Gotcha.
But that's
Cool,
like,
man.
taking it back to staffing stuff, it was immediately one of those things where she had such a magnanimous personality. You guys have been around great bartenders, great waiters, waitresses. And when you see
Correct.
somebody who can take pride in taking a burger order, and leave you with an impression where like, man, we had fun because that guy or girl gave us such a great experience. And did you
I
notice that
agree.
like they didn't even write down the order? So like they know their shit like the back of their hand. They're taking pride in what they do. I asked for a recommendation and boom, had it right away. Those are those types of things where it's like, man, can you imagine if you gave that guy or girl, a tool set to be a coach? I mean, they would knock it out of the park. And so that's kind of what, those are people you can always be recruiting in those scenarios. And I've dropped my business card off to bartenders and to waiters and to retail staff. When I have a great experience, I just drop it to them, because worst case scenario, I tell them, you can come and train at my gym or work out there. I'll give you a month for free just because I had such a great experience there. It's better than a tip. And if I can get them in and around my environment, I know they'll be a positive addition and potentially could be a great coach. And I also know from a dollars and cents standpoint, I can compete. I can give you more. I can give you more money than you're going to make bartending, being a waiter, or working retail. Like, I'm confident with that too. So, and sometimes that stuff's hard. Like teachers are another one that you can kind of do that with. But there's not a lot of professions out there where you feel, for a fact that you can outcompete them from like a dollars and cents standpoint too.
Yeah. I bartended, did retail. It's like you're saying all this. I'm like, man, done all those things.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, all those things do. I mean, memorization, all that kind of stuff. But like, just like the hours suck.
Yeah.
Right. Work until 3, 4 a.m. and all that.
Yeah. So I literally caddied and bartended. So I would talk about polar opposites. I was up at 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m. to get to the golf course on time. And I would caddy, and you learn how to, talk. You learn how to, know your place when you need to give recommendations, when you don't. It's a great coaching one. And then you work late night, right? So then I would be like 8 to midnight or 8 to 2 or 8 to 3 certain times when I was bartending. And so then you're home at 3 and up at 5. Sometimes you just pull an all night, or you sleep during the day. And I think both of those gave me both a work ethic, but also, gave me an ability to communicate with a wide breadth of people. The people who spent, go to the bar every night on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are not the type of people that take the first tee time on Sunday morning at a golf course. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man. I really think that the whole staffing thing is sort of something that we as gym owners have to get better at, because like I know that you spend like like you don't coach a ton in your gym per se, but you're still very, very involved in your gym in the day to day. And I think that a lot of times gym owners are sold this sort of magic ticket of, when you get these systems in place and when you have the staff, now you can go on and do all this other stuff and not worry about the gym, and then it'll run itself. And I just haven't seen that. I mean, you're probably one of the most successful gym owners that I know, and I just haven't seen that from you watching you these last couple of years. Like you care to speak on that a little bit?
yeah, no, I couldn't disagree with that more. I think your roles can shift, right? In I look at it as just a sliding scale. You're going to have times where, we've cut staff and fired people, and it puts you immediately back to an undermanned position. And I do that to ensure the integrity and the, quality of our product. And that means that I have to jump back in and coach more. Right. And then I go through the hiring process and get us back up to being overstaffed. And I like to always feel like I'm in a boat where I'm overstaffed. And then my role shifts. And now I am a cultural leader, and I am somebody who is constantly developing. And so it's no less work. A lot of times it's actually more work. It's just different work. Right. And, so I might not be up at 4 to coach the 5:15, but that doesn't mean I don't show up and, work out at that morning class and then follow up with my staff afterwards and give them coaching points and coaching cues, check in on how they're doing in their lives. All of our coaches have personal stuff going on, and you need to keep a pulse on that, because that's going to tell you if they're doing a great job, if they're struggling financially. You need to be on top of those things. That's what being a great leader is all about. And I was lucky to learn that in the Army, is you have great leaders, and you have absolutely god awful terrible leaders in the military, and you don't get a lot of say. but it's important to pay attention to who is who, right, and why. And the big reason that, I had Staff Sergeant Cassidy was the best leader that I was ever around. And the big reason why was he was one of the only leaders at his rank that actually gave a shit about like who I was as a person. And he took that time with me to take me out to lunch and talk with me and try to help me with career development, answer questions that I had in my head that I wasn't asking to anybody because nobody asked, right? And, he left and moved on, and I never had another good leader. And so I left the military a big part because I just thought that they were too few and far between. But that I think is the biggest thing is your roles switch, and you have to start switching that I don't get to relax. My role just shifts, right? And so now when I bring in new staff, the most important thing is not letting things slip and slide, not letting the culture start to, we know that the inmates can run the asylum quickly at a gym if people don't stay on top of it. And so you are sharp, you are in there aggressively and available to help take the stuff off of coaches. When the inmates start to run the asylum, you need to be the one stepping in front of them and saying, no, we don't do that here. That's absolutely not acceptable. Yeah. And Dave I use one of my new coaches. He might be too nice to say something because he is, and he's a new coach, and you've been here for 5 years and he's only been here for a year, right? But you guys know that that's not acceptable in our community. And if you keep doing it, you're not going to be a client here anymore, right? And you put them in their place, you let Dave see it. Now he knows you've got his back. And, that becomes your role a little bit, and it's just different, right? But it's extremely important to be the main support structure for your staff as soon as you start to get to a point where you stop coaching as much.
Oh, yeah. I really like that, sort of going back to what you said earlier. I think, you're talking about the new coach, I think about when I was in college, like my thing is like self-government, right? Like self-governing myself.
Yep.
And I remember I was a college athlete over the summer, like really didn't have money to go home per se. So I decided, I'm going to stay on campus. I'm going to work on campus. And we would work on campus, but I get to work out at the facilities, blah, blah, blah. And then me and some of my roommates, like we came up with the idea, hey, we're going to work like at night. We didn't have a car. So we would get up. I would get up, work out in the morning, work all day, work out. After work, then we would walk to the job and work and then walk back. And like people thought we were nuts, but I'm just like, man, where I come from, like I'm still living the dream. I get to live on campus for free. Yes, I have to work.
Yep.
I get to make money. Yes, I'm tired. But I think that's one of those things, like you say, like it carries you on. Now, me being a 40-year-old man, like I don't need anyone to wake me up in the morning. It doesn't matter if I'm tired in the morning. I still got to get up, right? Like I don't make excuses. And I think that's one of the things that we're looking for in employees, or you should be looking for in staff, like those type of people that just, don't make any excuses about anything, right? They're gonna they have a track record of getting stuff done, even when it's hard, because it's hard for everyone.
Yeah, I think we've had times where, for lack of a better way to put it, to use your analogy, where I haven't had to do anything. And I had a moment when I was younger where like I literally just like I didn't come into the gym for a whole week. I don't even think I did anything gym related for a whole week. And I remember like looking at my wife just being like, I don't think I can like just do nothing. Like, I don't know what to do with my time. Right. And so you get to a point where you kind of get past that. Like, it seems cool. It seems like, oh, I got all this, passive income stuff's rolling for me. I don't have to work and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but what are you going to do with your time? Like, what are you going to be passionate about? Who are you going to help? The role starts to switch a little bit. And while it seems like glamorous and people want to get there because maybe they're overworked or stressed, you do it for a couple of weeks and it just immediately you're like, okay, well, this is why I started gym in the first place. Cause like, that's actually what I want to do. Right. So it's kind of like what you were saying there about basketball. It's like, well, look, like idle hands, they don't do me any good. Right. Like I can do nothing but do stupid shit, get in trouble, waste a bunch of money, try to seek happiness elsewhere. Right. And for you in college, probably get in trouble. Right. And so, that's what I look at. It's like, okay, so people just get, you get back to that same spot and then you just get back into that spot where it's like, hey, I think I'm going to open a gym. It's just like, okay, so then just get back to work on your gym, So that's, I think the hard part for people is, like you said, it is kind of sold as this like dream. But the real dream is to have something that you are so proud of, that you love, that other people can be a part of, and you have your own community. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. A bunch of my business partner, a bunch of my really close friends all went through pretty nasty divorces over COVID. And our community was the thing that was there for them, and so you really can have something super special that transcends a lot of just, helping people work out and dealing with the frustrations and clicks and all that stuff. And so I always try to think like that's the real dream. It's not getting to the point where you never have to come in. It's getting to the point where you love to go in even when you don't have to. And that's kind of what we should be seeking, I think.
Yeah, I like that. Guys, listen, we're going to cut it off right here. I think, for you guys, owners that are really looking to level up your staffing, like this episode has been great. Like we're giving you a lot of mindset tips, some practical tips, because your staff can really help or break your gym. Like they can help you get to the next level, because regardless of how good you are, like you could be like Jeff was talking about, or you could be a phenomenal leader. But if you don't have people to lead, you're going to be trying to do it on your own, and that can only get you so far, right? So, guys, we're gonna cut it off here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, remember, tell a friend to tune in, and we will see you guys next time. Jeff, thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.